Hello and welcome to the We Are Birmingham podcast. I'm Chris Golding.
I'm Matthew Elliott.
And the vegan's back. Good evening, Dave. How are we doing? Oh, were you back? You were back last time, actually, weren't you?
Thanks for noticing. Yeah. This thing doesn't edit itself.
Oh, no, I should have remembered. Shall we start again?
No, we can carry on.
He's back, but he's got claret hair.
He's got claret hair. Not claret. It definitely didn't say claret on the pot.
What did it say?
It's pink. It's pink hair. It's definitely not claret.
It's close enough.
I did dye it and then thought, fucking hell, this is a bit claret. But it's definitely not. It's definitely not. And
it's those baby blue streaks you've got at the back that really that's a real killer.
No, definitely not.
I apologise, Dave, for forgetting about last week. But to be fair, I just have 40 minutes of trying to settle a inconsolable 2-year-old. So I apologise. Yeah, I'm sorry.
Accepted.
So, how about you guys? How's your weeks going?
Well, shall I go first?
Go on, you go first. You've probably got a more interesting, eventful 7 days. 7 days? 10 days, whatever.
A bit longer than that. I was 10 days, but yes, obviously came over. I was coming over to England pre-Northampton game. On the ferry on overnight, the Thursday into the Friday. Just going about my business. In the morning, I got off the ferry, felt a bit poorly. Like, right, that's not good. There's been a bit of a bug going around the house and stuff, but stopped at Stafford Services, threw up, went on my way, felt a bit better, went to a client meeting, went pretty well, left there, and in between leaving there and heading to my next client meeting, I started to feel really, really poorly. And as I was on the outskirts of Cannock, I thought the best way to put this is I was heading towards the roundabout as if I was heading towards Wolverhampton. I think it was the A460 or something, and I was starting to feel very, very poorly, like very dizzy, very weak, and made a decision that I'm probably going to have to pull over at some point in the next couple of seconds. So I got to the roundabout, and then I thought, I can't make it across the roundabout. I'm going to have to just turn off at the first one and pull over very, very quickly because I need to stop the car. Anyway, between pulling off at the junction,
between pulling off,
that might explain it. But, turning off at the junction, and so I turned off at the junction, and that's kind of really the only thing I remember. That I then just found myself in the side of somebody's car. I'd careered into one car and then slid down their car into another. Two ladies.
I think that's what's known as doing a greenish, isn't it? Is that not what he did during lockdown?
Well, he potentially, but I mean, I think I don't know if he just had a bug or something. I'm not sure. Anyway, so quite a scary moment for me. I was very confused. I had people witnesses coming into the car and trying to making sure I was okay and asking me questions. You're very pale and your lips are blue. Do you normally look like that? And I'm just like, no, I don't.
It'd be interesting if you'd have had Dave's hair at the time as well.
From memory, their paramedics turned up pretty quickly. Police turned up pretty quickly. I was bundled into an ambulance and they did various tests on me, and police were just signed off as a medical incident very quickly. The other people were okay. Physically, I felt fine, just a little bit sore. I wasn't going that fast anyway because I think I was coming to a stop. At least that's what I remember. And I spent about 10 or 11 hours in New Cross Hospital in Wolverhampton as they tried multiple tests on me, and before I could get the all clear and get a discharge summary to give to work and to the work insurance company. And then they made my dad drive up to Wolverhampton to come and pick me up because I was obviously stranded from there. And so my dad took me back to, not all the way back to Northern Ireland, obviously. He took me to, back to Northamptonshire, which is where I was planning to stay that weekend. To try and recover. So I wasn't really planning on going to Northampton game, but I woke up in the morning and felt like I could handle it. So made my dad drive us to Wolverhampton to drive us to Birmingham the next day, and made it to the football, which for 95 minutes felt like a pretty good decision. But
I think before we get on to the football, probably need to say we've sort of had a little joke about that while we were talking about it. Not a joke, but it was like at the time it was very concerning for everyone. I mean,
I didn't know what the fuck I was
very worried about it.
Not in a good space. Yeah, but I had people here as well, my other half, and a couple of my daughters were like not good. I think we thought it was worse than it was at the start, which, you know, but as things transpired, it's just the way they put it in is just one of those things. Probably was like a virus that just properly wiped me out. So stuff goes around this house all the time, but yeah, it was a bit scary. Like, work were a bit concerned about me as well, which it's actually quite nice to
feel valued.
Yeah.
But for the record, it was nothing to do with pulling off just before a roundabout.
It was nothing to do with pulling off just before a roundabout. Okay. It's been, my car is, it wasn't a write-off, thankfully. Do you know what? My car is quite new, and it's a 4x4, and it came off a lot worse than two very small middle-aged ladies' cars. They drove off Scott like absolutely fine, but my car eventually got it got impounded, and then I managed to get back to it to pick some stuff up out of it. They were quite good about that, and then the insurance company had some repairers pick it up. It's gone for repair in Manchester. I've currently got a hire car, which I have to give back tomorrow to get the courtesy car, although the courtesy car they've offered me. So bear in mind that my car is a 7-seater and I've got 4 children. They offered me a little 4-seater Toyota Aygo type thing, and I was like, nope, that does not fit my family life. So I've had to have a bit of negotiation with the insurance company to get something a little bit bigger to cover us for a little bit longer. Hopefully it will be ready by the time I come over for, well, I say come over, I'm hoping to come over for the Bristol Rovers game, at which point I'll collect the car when it's fixed, hopefully. But well, yeah, I appreciate you guys checking in with me over that weekend, because those few days it was a bit shit. I didn't really know what was going on, but everything seems to be fine. I'm moving in the right direction now. So
I've noticed that you've been back on Strava doing your massive runs again. So it's
nothing massive really. But
well, for anyone else, but not for you.
After actually watching the Northampton game, do you wish you'd spent another 24 hours extra in hospital?
I just kept wishing that maybe this was just part of me being in a coma, and just we can get on to that Northampton game. But yeah, how are you guys anyway? So that was enough about me. So
nothing as eventful as that, mate. So genuinely,
be fortunate, be thankful.
Yeah. Oh, good.
What about Mr. Claret? What about Mr. Claret Head?
It's not fucking Claret. It's not Claret. It's definitely not. It'll wash out.
Shit on the vegan.
Trying to think something to say there, but no. Dyed my hair pink. Went to photograph Nick Cave. That's about it, really. It was can't remember. Not in that order, but. Yeah, again, not as eventful as your 10 days. We did wonder for a while what you'd done to piss off the Russians. We were trying to work out whether you'd been poisoned, whether they got to whether you were they'd done something to the company you work for, and you'd been selling dodgy Russian kind of electronics, and they're being found out, and now
no, the Germans have got my back. I think I'll be all right, actually.
Oh yeah. Oh, that's okay.
But I actually think with our uneventful life between me and Dave, we probably missed the perfect segue to just go straight into the Northampton game then. So let's go straight into the Northampton game now, if that's all right. 78% possession, one shy of 700 passes, 23 shots, but only 3 on target, near enough complete domination, and then I'm going to say we just didn't kill the game off, and it wasn't the moment at the end that everyone's picked up on, which yes, it was a mistake. They happen, and Chris Davis he's well aware of that, as we keep saying with keepers, mistakes will happen, but it was a defensive mistake.
I mean, nearly all of our goals have come from
mistakes,
defensive mistakes or goalkeeping mistakes.
But for me, we should have the game killed off by then. Those opportunities that we've got and the possession that we've got to do more with it, and we've only got to look at ourselves. And I think that means if teams are sitting back and they're soaking it up, and Northampton did really well, that low block that they played really well, we struggled to get through, then we need to look at how we can mix it up, what we can do differently, and give them something else to deal with, whether that's that we're going to start putting some crosses in, making them win headers in the box, and then picking up the second balls, so that there's something, give them something different to think about, rather than just us passing backwards, moving the ball. And like I'm one that's all for controlling possession, recycling play, but there are times I think where you just need to go, right, okay, now we're going to give you something different to think about. Carry on doing that, but do something else on the side.
I think the problem is, and I think that it's caused by the fact that some of these teams are playing this low block, is that when we push that high up the pitch and then start this sideways on the edge of the box, everybody is very, very static, especially people like Stansfield and May, who you expect to be looking to make those sort of sneakier runs in between defenders, and you just want someone to sort of thread that ball through. The front four for me isn't quite where it needs to be yet. There's a combination there that will work, I think, between the players that we've currently got available and the players that are out. And this combination currently isn't, or at least in the way we're playing them, doesn't feel like it's quite gelled properly.
Well, I think the big talking point out of that is the Alfie May Jay Stansfield one. We've talked about it on the podcast before.
Yeah.
How do you solve a problem like Jay May? Or is there a way that they can both play?
I mean, for me, you potentially could. May is clearly far more dangerous as a central striker. I think that is, and he's still probably the best finisher, I think, at the club. I'd probably still say that. He's having a bit of a rough patch. Certainly in and around the box, we'll say, maybe. You want Willemsen as the 10, I think, and give him that license to just do what he needs to do.
He drifts in there anyway.
He does, yeah. Do you play Stansfield out wide? Does that make the best of his talents? Because it's very clear that Chris Davies has said he wants him playing up front. He likes him on the shoulder of the last defender. And the left-hand side, obviously, I think Anderson's done very, very well since he's been in there. Everybody knows that I wasn't completely sold on Hansen, but obviously as he started to grow into the team and I think become a little bit more dangerous and effective, he got injured, which is quite annoying. Maybe
Scott
we do
Wright,
miss him.
Scott Wright as well.
Yeah, Scott Wright, of course. Who I think
they're both a couple of weeks away.
Scott, a couple of weeks away, then back on the grass, is it? Yeah. I think Scott Wright, for me, I've liked what he's done when he's come on as a substitute. He looks more like he feels more like an impact player to me. But, I think they're going to have to try a combination at some point. For me, there just doesn't seem to be enough movement and creative, it feels crazy to say that, but it just doesn't feel like there's enough creativity there.
Can I give you a thought on? So you've praised Anderson there, and
yeah,
we both have in recent weeks, and I totally agree. I think he's done really well. But the Northampton game, I came away from thinking, does he struggle when teams set up with that low block? When teams come out a bit more and he's got a bit of space to get at them, is he a better player then, more effective then? And then when they're sitting there trying to soak it up, does he struggle?
Well, I think the same can be said for all of them. To be fair,
that's fair. But
I know where you're coming from.
There are players that are cleverer at playing through lines, essentially, even if that line's really compact and very deep. Whereas some players are better at, let's say, counter-attacking teams. When he's got the ball and the defenders are on the back foot, he's very good at attacking teams. When he's running at them and they're sat back on that line, I'm not sure that he's as effective. But equally, he's done very well lately, and I'm not going to take that away from him. And we haven't got an awful lot of options anyway.
No, it's
Yakiyama.
You wonder, yeah. I mean, that's the other. I mean, when he came on, he almost gave them an opportunity. Didn't track his man, did he? And they had an opportunity for that. I think we did. I don't know if that was just the shot was blocked or whether it was cleared off the line or something. But that was an opportunity for them. Do you know as well that it's also frustrating? And I think I said this after the Mansfield game and probably after the Sutton game as well. We had 11 corners at the weekend. Last weekend. 10. What did we do with any of them?
That's been a weakness all season.
Yeah,
and
an
beyond,
area for development. It would say if I was having my appraisal at work.
Yeah, I mean, let's not put anything before this season because they've not been good for a while. But this is a fairly new squad, coaching team. Yeah,
better players, and I just don't. I'm failing to understand why we are struggling in that area, because it's not like we've got short arses in the team. We've got quite a few bigger players. I know there are various different ways you can take corners. I know people don't like short corners, but actually statistically they are more successful at scoring from. I think that is a fact. I'm pretty sure the Notts County manager, who's now the Swansea manager, I think he mentioned something along those lines when he was questioned about, and he just came out with a statistic to say that they
I think we've talked about that before.
Yeah, I think we have.
But I think it depends on your players. Now, if you've got a team, if you've got a Gary Rowett back line where everyone's 6 foot plus, or near enough, or preferably, you've got some tall midfielders, then lumping it in the box probably is your type of thing.
You can get a better angle, can't you, if you're taking shot? I guess that's the point, and you can be a little bit cleverer about it.
Yep.
It's just an area. If we improve on set pieces, corners, free kicks, even 10-15% would probably start scoring a few more goals.
Us at set pieces at the moment have been summed up by there was a game a few weeks ago where we had it was a free kick. I think it could have been a corner, it could have been a free kick, I can't remember, and it was played to Cochrane, and Jay Stansfield or someone ran over to Jay Stansfield and they were like, this is going to happen, and it was like, oh, they've had a word there, something like mental's going to happen, this is going to be like some training ground routine. and I think they played it to Cochrane on the edge of the box, and he smashed it over the bar, and it was like, oh, that was what they worked on then. Why did they need to deliver that message to Jay Stansfield? It's like, yeah, so what we're going to do is...
There has been one corner, actually, that they've tried a couple of times that hasn't come off, but was actually quite good, where they play it very tightly into the near post, and that on-running player cuts it back for someone running from the edge of the box. I think we tried it against Wrexham, and I think we may have put it very narrowly wide, and we tried it again fairly recently. Might have been Mansfield, but that's the only corner that sticks out in my mind where it was actually
that could have been effective.
Yeah, that's quite clever. That we looks like we might score from that, but we've got to get better at it. We've got to improve, and there hasn't been. How many games into the season are we now? Off the top of your head, because I can't remember.
12
games in?
No, 13.
13 games in, plus your cup games.
Yep.
It doesn't look like we've improved in any way on set pieces and corners. Now, I think my understanding is that Jonathan Grounds was in charge of them at the time. He certainly seems to come out of the dugout and shout stuff. I don't know how they can hear him when he's shouting stuff from the dugout, and they're taking a corner. But he is coming out and doing that. Frustrating. Needs to improve. And I think did Ben say that Northampton conceded the most goals from set pieces this season as well?
I'm fairly sure that he did.
Yeah. So they obviously gave away a lot of set pieces. They had 10 corners. And the crux of it, as you say, the finishing's got to be better. Like, we created maybe 2 clear-cut chances, 3 at a push maybe. With better finishing, we probably could have scored 3 and we wouldn't be having this conversation. But we had 20-odd shots on goal, and I'm struggling to remember. I know it's over a week ago now, like anything significant. And I kept saying to my dad, we need another goal, because every time Northampton had a chance, it was a really good chance.
Yeah,
they had that one in the first half where Allsop made
the best chance in the first
very
half,
good save. Yeah, they had that one where Ayuma didn't follow his marker, and I think it might have been Bielik at that point cleared it off the line, and then obviously we give away the goal as well. There was another one, but every time they came forward, it was very rare, because they did sit back and weren't particularly ambitious. But when they did go forward, they went forward with purpose, and they looked quite dangerous, and it worried me. And I just kept saying to my dad, we need a second. We really need a second. I stopped saying it by like the 95th minute, because I thought we were sound. But
and do you know, at that point as well, I'm not going to dwell on it too much, because I think ultimately the problems are caused by our inability to finish teams off.
Mm-hmm.
And like we say, the game should be dead at that point. But so firstly, we'll talk about it now. Sanderson.
Yep.
Just leave it to go through to the keeper.
See, I think he was trying to do that, wasn't he? I think, and then I don't know if he was caught in two minds. I think he was going to let it bounce out of play. It looked like it was going wide rather than to the keeper. I think it was probably going.
It
going
wasn't
wide.
Dangerous at all, was it? So first, just leave it.
He sort of stepped away from it, and it kind of just sort of hit him from behind. So I don't know what he was doing. Whether he was caught in two minds. Do I head it? Do I leave it? Or maybe he did try to get out of the way, and it hit him. And obviously that caused bedlam. But then we had the ball.
Yep. And then Iwata just smash it out of play.
Yeah. And I think this is one of those things. Like, it's the 96th minute. Just fucking belt it up the pitch. And he passed it out sideways. But there wasn't actually anybody there apart from Pinnock. I think Northampton have been calling the postman because he always delivers or something ridiculous like that. They on their tweet,
and he did.
I mean, it was a great finish, to be fair. Fair to him. It was a really, really good strike. But I mean, I was as angry as anybody at Sanderson first off for that, and there's a lot of people around that were very upset at him as well. In fact, Yeah, I heard somebody be pretty awful about him, but I think at that point people were so angry they didn't see what. I think they were kind of blind to Iwata giving it away, and there was a kind of a foul on Clara in the build-up as well, potentially. I mean,
It would have been soft for me.
You want Clara to be stronger. They do get
given. They do get given, but
they normally do get given in those sorts of areas, but not in the middle of the pitch. They normally do get given at those ends of the pitches.
That whole phase of play, though, ultimately shouldn't have. We shouldn't even be talking about it because it should have not. It should never have got to that point. We should be killing games off. So my first thought afterwards, and I messaged you guys, like a lot of people, fucking Dion, what you doing? And then it went to, this was on the walk out of the ground. Ultimately, we've got to be better. The team have got to be better. Oh, you win games, you lose games as a team. So you can't blame one player when they fuck up. They're a team.
Apparently, from a reliable source, Davies was not happy at all post Northampton, like really, and not at anyone in particular, at the whole team. I think he was as frustrated, if not more, than a lot of the fans in the stadium after that game.
It's got to be a learning curve for him, though, because ultimately you're the manager in charge of what that team are doing. It does fall
on him and the whole coaching staff. But I think also we have to remember that he's 36, 37, I can't remember. He's quite young anyway. It's his first managerial role, and he is going to learn from it. You know, he's only 20 games into his managerial career, debut managerial
39.
career. 39, there we go. 39 age, not 39 games. You know, so he is going to learn. These are the moments where he will learn from. He is the sort of person that's very, very driven and very, very keyed in on this sort of stuff, and they will look to improve on that and what they can change. He's very, very locked in on the way he wants a team to play, but I think you have to have some form of flexibility at both ends of the pitch. Like, it's a 95th minute. You know,
I think we have seen that at times as well, though. It's like when Allsop came in, there was that flexibility to not just keep every ball neat and short, and overly so in some games that he was going long without getting the bollocking that Peacock Farrell was getting.
Do you see he's been dropped from the Northern Ireland team now as well? They've got like a 18-year-old goalkeeper from Sheffield Wednesday who's not even Sheffield Wednesday's first team goalkeeper and started for them there this week. Anyway, I didn't. So just off on a tangent.
I didn't. That's interesting. That was genuine, by the way, though. That's interesting. But they showed earlier in the season when with making that change with Allsop, there's that flexibility to do things a bit differently. Mm-hmm. So it wouldn't surprise me if he learns from it. He needs to learn from it, because
the whole coaching staff do.
This is going to be a blueprint. We keep talking about this blueprint that teams have. This is going to be it, where they'll sit back. Like Northampton would have probably been happy to have lost 1-0 rather than get a 3-0, 4-0 pasting. At 1-0 down, they were still sitting there. Yeah, they were still sitting there taking it.
Whilst you're only 1-0 down, you know, you're always in with a chance. All it takes is a couple of seconds, as we've seen.
Yep.
You're always in with a chance if you can keep it tight. Keep playing till the end of the game.
And in the Championship, that's different, because you go 1-0 down, and you might have more of a go at teams. But I think teams are going to see the quality that we've got, that we can bring on, and they're going to play differently. It's going to be like, if we're going to lose 1-0, we'll take it. If we can nick it, an equaliser, great. So I think teams are going to use this, and we need to learn how to play.
We're going to see more and more teams play a flat back five, I think, going forward. Certainly the teams that towards the bottom or
You mean
mid-table.
Based on that graphic that showed the teams that we haven't played, a lot of the teams that we've got coming up.
Yeah, the teams that we thought, we can go on a good run now because these teams are down the bottom. And that still might be the case.
Yeah,
but they're going to look at the Northampton game, the Charlton game, Mansfield obviously further at the table, obviously quite a bit further at the table. But there's going to be a lot of teams that try and replicate what they are doing to just try and nullify our threat. So we have got to find ways to try and penetrate these defences. As you say, we should have put them away. Really, there was a couple of other chances there that we wouldn't have had to worry about the final few minutes. But again, it's just a little bit frustrating. That's two back-to-back draws, is it now?
No, because we beat Sutton in between, didn't we?
Oh yeah, in the league. In the league. So,
what was it before that? So
yeah,
Mansfield.
Yeah,
it's these breaks, bloody absolutely killing me. I'll tell you what.
That's it now, isn't it? Until March, I think. So we've got a lot of catching up to do in terms of games played. 'Cause I think,
haven't we?
Wrexham 3 games behind us, or 2 games? 2 games behind Wrexham, and they're third.
They've played 15. We've played 13.
13,
so
yeah. So, and Stockport played 16. 14. So Stockport, we've got 3 games in hand on Stockport. So you win those games in hand, or you get something from those games in hand, and you extend the lead from the chasing pack. Wickham seem to be doing extremely well. How long they keep it up for, yeah, we'll have to see.
Yep.
Barnsley seem to have climbed the table a fair bit as well. Must be that Mark Roberts and Sam Cosgrove connection there, and obviously their wonderful midfield.
Definitely that. I'll tell you what. Let's get some 15.
Aren't they playing Mark Roberts and Sam Cosgrove centre midfield? Is that could you imagine that? That would be horrific, wouldn't it? Christ.
Stuff of nightmares. We've put a late call out for some 15-second opinions. We've got a few to play, so let's hear them now.
15-second opinion.
Hi lads. I think there was a bit of an overreaction from the Northampton game, to be honest. I think a couple of stupid mistakes cost us 3 relatively comfortable points. And I think in the summer people would have snapped your hand off for us to look this comfortable in the league already. So I'm sure the goals will come and everything's going to be fine. Just keep the faith in Chrissy Davis.
Hi there. Wagner quite rightly wants us to be elite and is putting loads of money into the club. So I'm just wondering if playing with 80% possession, drawing against Northampton and other people is elite, and actually our Blues underperforming, and actually should Blues be more fun? Because I don't think we are sometimes. So yeah.
Hi lads, fairly happy after 13 games. I'm confident we'll be in the Championship next season. If I was to make one critical point, it would be that Davis could use his squad a bit better, especially in the midfield area. Leonard and Gardner-Hickman, they're more than good enough to play. We don't have to run Paik and Iwata into the ground. Keep right on.
So 15-second opinion of the season so far. I think it's been really good fun. I'm still very confident it's going to end as we hope. I just wish we'd kill teams off a bit more, because I don't trust us to not make silly mistakes when there's only a goal in it. Case in point, Sanderson and Iwata.
Chris O'Brien here again, lads. Hope you're well. Looking forward to a game. It seems like forever since we had the last game. But yeah, I'm looking forward to Blues beating Shrewsbury again, at least 4-0 like we did in the Cup. Up the Blues, keep right on. Safe journey, Blue Noses.
Thank you as always for sending those 15-second opinions. I will pronounce it right at some point this season, hopefully. Cheers, Carper, for ripping off my 4-0 prediction for Shrewsbury on Saturday. Thanks for that. Right, interesting points. Fun.
Yeah, a bit of a variety. The comment about fun, I can totally understand, because whilst the football is nice and progressive and completely different to anything that we've seen before, it's not the turgid pedestrian hoofball that we've been used to for such a long time. On occasions, the possession doesn't seem as purposeful as we would like, and I think Davies has mentioned that possession with purpose, and that almost feels a little bit redundant. There seems to be a lot of backwards, sideways, and not always. Now I know that sometimes you just have to be patient and open up, but I can understand why people wouldn't be enjoying it. Certainly, I know from other people I've spoken to and people I've been around at the ground that I don't know, that there's a lot of impatience around the way that we play sometimes. I think that might be just a case of people getting used to it. But I mean, what do you guys think? There are moments where you do have a lot of fun. We score goals and there are some great moves and you can really, really appreciate the football. But it's not always fun, is it? But then is it more enjoyable than it has been?
It's enjoyable controlling games. Like, I'd rather us have possession than not have possession.
Yeah.
I think it sort of goes into what we were saying before we listened to the 15-second opinions. And for me, if you're struggling to break teams down, if you're struggling to create openings and opportunities, then you need to look at doing things a different way and not completely changing your game, but having options that you can resort to. Now, Chris Davis was with Brendan Rodgers at Liverpool, that Coach's Voice article that he did, they said on there that there wasn't just one way of playing. They could counter-attack teams, they could control possession, like depending on how they wanted to play, how the opposition were playing. So I've got confidence that he's going to adapt the way that we play. He's going to learn, and he's not just going to be stubborn and say, right, we have to do this and only this. I think he will learn. But what we've seen too much of is, and someone said it the other day, that I don't even know what the phrase is, but repeating yourself over and over again is a sign of craziness or something. Is that like a famous
sign of
phrase?
Madness? Yeah,
sign of madness.
Doing the same thing over and over again is a sign.
And it sort of fits with some games that we've. So the Northampton game, we've sort of moved the ball around. Haven't really gone anywhere with it. We've ended up with a lot of shots on the board, but not shots of any real quality from great positions. Granted, there were a couple of good ones, but generally we haven't done enough to kill them off. Now, can we do something different? I believe we probably can, and I've got faith that Chris Davis can look at what we're doing and say, right, okay, well, if we're in this situation again, we'll do this, and we'll try and mix things up a little bit. And the other side of that is what you said about Chris Davis being very annoyed after the game, and that gives me confidence that he's not happy with. So the fans weren't happy with what they watched, that we didn't kill him off, and I think that he obviously wasn't happy about it. So
he just wants them to be better and strive for not perfection as such, but as close to as possible. And because when they don't perform, obviously they did perform, but when they don't create the output that he's expecting, he is going to be pissed off. I think there's one thing I want to stay on the 50-second opinion, but one thing I've noticed is a lot of these teams have played recently was I was expecting, and we were all expecting.
Sorry, I just had to open some mincemeat.
Very, very good.
Making mince pies. Sorry, you weren't expecting.
You just casually snacking on mincemeat.
I got told off for eating ice cream and a cookie. Someone said it doesn't make a good podcast.
So now you eat mincemeat.
Not eating mincemeat. Sorry, Matthew.
I expected us, and I don't know why, and this might go into a bit about underperforming, actually, that one of the 15-second opinions mentioned. I expected us to be fitter than we've looked in a lot of these games. And I don't know, and again, this rolls into the squad thing as well.
Yep.
But I've been surprised at how fit a lot of the opposition are as well in these later later minutes where that sort of last 25 minutes, I can't think we kind of expected to get more of a foothold, create more chances, and maybe that's where we'd see most of our goals. But it hasn't been happening as much.
Yeah. Well, that Charlton game was the first time that
they looked far fitter than us, fitter. But then,
and it was like, how can they can't keep this up for 90 minutes?
But they
60,
did,
70 minutes, they'll be knackered. Nope.
No, and it's happened a few times now. And you kind of thought that these teams would get tired from just chasing the ball around, but a lot of these teams, because they're playing this low block, they're letting us have the ball. Yeah. They're not really pressing us and harassing us and chasing us around as much as they probably would do. So they're probably managing their fitness levels. So that's another thing we've got to consider, because I think we might be tiring ourselves out in some respects. And that leads to silly mistakes, as we obviously know. So,
and then, as you say, that rolls on to squad depth, which is something that we've mentioned has cost us. For me, it's cost us at least
the lack
twice.
of rotation is just mind blowing sometimes. I get like taking Laird off after 45 minutes or whatever, or resting players here and there, but like the two centre midfielders, the two of your most crucial players in that team for like ticking the ball over, have been playing back-to-back games, rarely being substituted. International.
Along with the flights over to Korea and back.
Yeah.
I
mean, they're very, very fit, the pair of them. But at some point, you've got to unleash some of the other players in the squad, actual, real fresh legs.
Yeah. For me, it's cost us twice this season. I'm not counting the Northampton game, because I don't think that was one. But the Mansfield game, I thought in the second half we looked very tired, and that you could just sort of see the energy drain. And the first one was the Charlton game, and I think both of them we just looked exhausted, and especially that midfield too. So when you've got, the two that were mentioned there were Gardner Hickman and Leonard. Now, Leonard, for me especially, should be getting more minutes.
Well, it's proved he had like 10, 11 goal contributions for Northampton Town last season in a team that was playing towards the bottom of the league, in a team that doesn't play as progressive as we do. So, he's bound to see more of the ball. He's bound to have more opportunity. We've barely seen him.
Yeah. And it's not even saying anything against Peck and Iwata, because they're both very good footballers. They're both playing very well for a majority of the time. You wouldn't take them out through performance-wise, but I'm sure the squad are aware that we've got a big squad for a reason, because we've got a lot of games. We've got a lot of quality in there. I'm sure they'll accept a bit of rotation.
I think they would expect the rotation based on the size of the squad, the amount of games we're playing. We're going to get to the FA Cup final, we're going to get to the EFL Trophy final. So there's all those games to think about as well. We blew the chance of the League Cup, but
yeah,
those. We've got a big squad for a reason. It'll get to winter months, okay, and I guess we'll see. There's going to be suspensions. There's a few already getting quite close to that at the moment, although I think they're mostly defenders, aren't they? There's probably going to be injuries in the winter months, and the games are going to properly stack up, because these internationals as well, we're going to have to try and squeeze 2 or 3 games in here and there. So I would like to see him use the squad a little bit more, and I think probably from Alex Cochrane as well is going to need a rest at some point, because he's been putting in the hard yards, and obviously Lee Buchanan's had multiple injuries already this season.
He was back for the team photo though, so
was it really him, or was it just a superimposed head?
I think the only one that wasn't was Ben Davis.
So just on the squad photo,
I know where you're going with this.
Gary
Cook.
Yeah, why? Yeah, why? I mean, not even Don got himself on a squad photo.
Oh, I bet he did.
Do you think?
I bet he did.
We need to go back. I know Edward and Shane did, and that was not when was that? A couple of seasons ago, 3 seasons ago or something?
It was just after Dong had gone, wasn't
Yeah.
it? Yeah.
So I wonder if they did that just to rub it in.
No, I bet there were photos with Dong. I bet he was in full tracksuit as well.
Well, we've seen those. But he was never in a squad photo, though, was he? I can never remember being in a squad photo. Anyway, that's another one. I don't really understand why Gary Cook was in there, to be perfectly honest. I mean,
for balance.
I guess.
Dave, you're a photographer. Was it for balance, maybe?
I think the balance. My main issue with that picture was just the number of people on the front row. I think it was the front row. It was a really long photo when they should have compacted it more. I mean, far from me to have an opinion on this.
It wasn't edited very well, I don't think either. I thought it looked a bit. I mean, you'd know better than me, Dave. But it did all look a bit like Photoshoppy. I don't know. It was
the whole thing. Every player looked. There was an element of cut,
especially Ben Davies.
Yeah, well, I mean that because he was, but everyone else
took his face off of FIFA and just like EAFC and just stuck it on there.
Can Dave? Can cameras give it that effect around people?
Not particularly. I mean,
It's
if you're over
editing
processing,
software.
over editing, you can end up doing more damage. More harm than good.
That's what
but
it
again,
feels like to me.
it shouldn't. It shouldn't be something that ultimately is edited that much.
No.
It's daylight. It's outside. It's the most stage managed thing going. There shouldn't be too much to do to it. But
we're making the assumption it wasn't some green screen photo. They just put the background in.
Have you not seen the video? There's a video out where they.
Oh, is there? No,
they were outside. Yeah.
So I've not really had a look. Anyway, so what we did.
Fun.
Squad fun. The squad rotation.
Are we having fun?
Sometimes, yes. I mean, having a lot more fun than we have been for the last 10 years.
Are we having the fun
Definitely.
that we thought we were going to be having in League One?
Well, we've been having more
Not
fun.
Yet. Not yet.
It's hard to say. Like,
I want to know where Vegan's going with this Gondo.
We seem to be having more fun when we go 1-0 down and then bring it back.
Turn it on a little bit.
Yeah. Maybe we need to start doing that again.
All panic for a bit and then go, nah, it's actually going to be all right. And it's always been all right.
You're probably not wrong.
Right, guys, on to open house. I'm not sure about both of you, but it was my wife's birthday, so we sat down and watched open house.
She's a lucky lady.
What a night.
And is that all you got her, or did you get her anything else? Maybe.
Well, I thought, what do you want for your birthday? And I thought Tom Ross, an intro by Tom Ross, Jasper Carrot. For complete full disclosure, we'd been out all day and then got back, and it just happened to be on YouTube, so we watched it.
They've been out all day buying treats and popcorn to watch the Blues open house.
Guess what I've got in store for you this evening?
He took a train spotting in the morning,
I mean, we did the day did involve multiple train journeys, but and we did have to look for the train to get on. But I mean, that's the extent of it.
You wouldn't really want to take your other half train spotting, would you? Given her employment.
Doesn't drive trains. Although you get paid quite a lot for driving trains, don't you? I think you probably do.
Yes. Oh no, I'm not sure. I've saw a lot of crap on social media about how much train drivers get
paid quite a lot to drive trains.
60 grand or something, is it? I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong.
Can't be that difficult either. Go and stop. But anyway, open house.
Yeah,
I was looking around for you. That's why I watched it, Chris. And all I saw,
you knew I couldn't go.
All I saw was other famous faces, repeatedly.
Yeah, they did have a habit of just panning to the same fucking people all the time, didn't they? So.
Was that because actually the actual content wasn't that interesting?
Right, let's address that, because you know what, the other two I found quite interesting to a point. So actually there was quite a lot of interesting bits in the other two, and this one just felt like it was almost doing it for the sake of doing it. There was not really anything significant from terms of updates. I thought, is it Amy Merricks, the manager for the? I thought she spoke really well. Obviously, very driven, actually quite similar in some ways to Chris Davies. Like Tom Magnott obviously has a type.
Very similar.
But even from that point of view, I have very little interest in the women's game. Which I was going to say. I like the fact they've got someone that is going to be committed to the role and can drive the team forward.
We've always said in the past, we've said it a few times, that our interest in the women's game isn't really there.
No,
that's not the team that we support. We support Birmingham City, but it's not really the women's.
Want them to do well, but in theory, it's not. I'm not going to be upset if they lose. I'm not disappointed if something.
I think that's completely fine as well. I don't think that it should be like you're supporting Birmingham City. You've got to put everything into and I don't think it should be. I think there's a team there that's been built.
We're not on our own. We're not alone on that. No.
But completely with you that she spoke really well. She understands the game really well. She's getting great results for them at the moment. So.
Even the academy stuff, though, with Mike Rigg, I just didn't find that. I mean, it was only really sort of regurgitating stuff that we'd seen. That's probably the wrong phrase to use, but stuff that we'd heard before. There was nothing really, or what we probably maybe already knew. There wasn't really anything new there, was there? Just.
Okay, question for you. As you've gone on to the Mike Rigg stuff. He was talking about a pathway.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that he believes in that pathway at the moment? Because,
well, I mean, I think he was quite honest about the fact that the pathway at the moment is, it's not conducive to the current team's needs and where we want to go. Now, a few years down the line, things might change.
Okay, but that Fulham game, where who did he have on the bench? I can't even remember, but the bench was fully stocked as well. At 3-0 up, or 3-1 up, 4-1 up. Could we have made changes then and brought some of the younger players on to give them an opportunity? I get the Sutton game. I spoke about it on here. Said I understand you don't want the embarrassment almost of losing, so you go fully strong. The Fulham game, I think that was possibly an opportunity that pathway could have been teased a little bit. You give people an opportunity, and it's like, look, there is an opening there for you. It doesn't feel massively like that pathway is there at the moment. I wonder whether he truly believes it, or if he's just doing that line.
I think there's a. Chris Davies probably doesn't, at this point in time, doesn't really have any interest in playing youngsters.
Even though he said that the best player that you can play is a homegrown one that's come through your academy.
True. But at this point in time, there aren't any that are going to, there isn't another Jude Bellingham. It's going to take someone along those lines, to come in and make
come in and claim a starting point. Yes, I agree with you. Substitutes, players to come in and give them the experience and have a go.
But look at the size of the squad currently. The current situation. Look at the size of the squad and look how many matchday subs we get compared to what we would get in the Championship or in the Premier League. Things change as you move up leagues, and I don't know why we don't get more subs in League One. It seems a little bit daft to me, but
Bristol Street Motors won though.
They do, yeah, true.
Different.
But he's just ruthless, isn't he? And he's got the size of the squad. It's like you can't. You got to use those games to try and keep some of your players happy.
Yep. I'm just not. But what he could have done then is rotate the starting lineup and put some more youngsters on the bench, and then you've got the opportunity. The youngster that's been playing the most is a lad that we've signed from Japan.
Mm-hmm.
He's the one that's been getting the game time. So for those youngsters that are in the academy, that they're trying to say we're going for Cat 1. Look at what we're going to do with our academy. We're so proud of it, and these can be the best players. We're not selling a pathway,
I think,
at the moment, and that's not me saying that would I pick anyone at the moment over those players. I think that it's just, in some of those games, can we give them an opportunity to experience it, to break through?
And I do know what you're saying. I think obviously the root cause of all of this is it's a completely other podcast, and it's probably worth maybe trying to get someone on to speak about this with us at some point. But the upheaval they've had over the past few years, the fact that the staff
it was closing down.
Yeah, it's closing down,
and then a week later it wasn't.
I don't know what the quality of the coaches and the staff are at the club at this point in time. There's probably going to be a high turnover amongst those. They've already started churning staff over, haven't they? You've got Villa, Baggies, Wolves in the local area. Not to, and Villa probably have 2, 3 times, 4 times the amount of scouts that we've probably got out there. I mean, that's me just guessing.
I would think.
Yeah, probably. And then you've obviously got other teams with larger, higher category academies that have scouts just all over the joint as well, that will pick up, hoover up talent from elsewhere. But at the moment, anyone that's going to be decent, Villa are going to be taken. It's very easy to sell that dream to, I think, to people, and we've got a lot of work to do.
Yep.
on that front.
But one of the selling points that we could have is that pathway, and at the moment, the one that's come closest through our academy is Keeler, and
Chang as well. I guess if you,
I'm on about in this season.
Currently this season, yeah.
Brandon Keeler's had a few games, a couple of cup games, but then the Fulham game. That was for me an opportunity for maybe 2 or 3 players. You play in a group of under 21s. We still have a very strong team. Just a couple of others to come on, so that when it's 3-1, 4-1, you can then say, right, here's your opportunity. Go out and have some fun. But I think he's just very focused on winning at the moment. I think not just the league, but I think he wants to do well in. He wants a good run in the FA Cup and also in the Bristol Street Motors. I think with how the Walsall game went, that potentially had an impact on that Fulham game, because you've got to get the job done.
Yeah.
I still think that you could put some on the bench, but I think that's maybe from his point of view. And I think we just want success.
You're right. That's exactly what it is. From Chris Davies' point of view, I think he just wants to win, and any changes he could make to that squad, whether it's on the bench or not, that he thinks could be deleterious to the outcome of the game, he's not going to risk it. He's going to put his tried and tested men on that bench, whoever they're playing. Yep. And you kind of get it I do understand.
Yeah.
But I also get what you're saying about the pathway. And I mean, Mike Rigg was pretty honest about how it is this season, and he did speak up and say, at this point in time, no, because this is where we're at, But over time, things should and hopefully will improve. But there's a lot that needs to change about the academy, which I think we've known for a very, very long time, and they just kind of reiterated that point, didn't they?
Well, and so that probably moves us on quite nicely to what they spoke about, the development. The development at Wast Hills that they've had there, and how they've completely. I mean, that we were told stories about that place, about how the AstroTurf was ripping up, goals were broken, metal bits sticking out of things, the nets that had holes in them, and it was just not in a good state. And the work that they've done on it already. I mean, that's sort of gone unnoticed by a lot of people because of the stuff that they've done around the grounds. People won't see the stuff that they've done at the training grounds so much, and the areas that they've built. They've spoke to the women's team and they've gone, right, what do you want in an environment for an elite women's team, and they've implemented it. They've listened to them, and it just everything that they've done. I think did Gary Cook say there was 47 jobs and it was 46 too many or something to take
something along those lines. Yeah, took on 40 summit projects and
and all of them, like, when they're being completed, they're excelling in what they're doing. And I think a lot of it's down to Nick Smith. We spoke about him before. Blues fans seem to have a bit of a love affair with him, and he genuinely, like, I'm so impressed with everything that they've done at the club so far, that he's been involved in. The amphitheatre and the fan park thing, that was a vision that we saw. I think we saw it at the open house first, didn't we?
Mm-hmm.
That now, couldn't imagine St Andrews without it. Every match day it's crammed. People getting beers, food, everything else. It's like genius. And people before hadn't seen this. So they've made such an impact on making it look good, but also actually being quite good. It's a decent environment to be around. The club shop, the fan park that's going to open around the corner. All of these things that they're doing, they've got to be commended, and that's what people have seen. They
spoke about the increase in revenue, didn't they, as well? Yeah. It's like the 50% increase, and they hope it to be like increased by another. Now, did he mean? He said 75%. Did he mean 50 on top of the 50%, or did he mean 75% off the original number? Because he didn't really. That wasn't. Do you know what I mean?
I'm no good with numbers anyway.
So I was trying to figure out what he meant. That either way, obviously, like from a financial point of view, that is, it's ticking all the right boxes, and it means we can have nice things going forward.
Essentially, they're saying that next season, when hopefully we're in the Championship, we want to be competing with those teams.
We will be in the Championship. There's no hopefully about it. We will be in the Championship.
All right. Okay.
Carry
on. So hopefully next season in the Championship. Sorry. Next season in the Championship.
That's better.
Yeah.
When we're challenging for promotion to Premier League.
I don't like saying it. I don't like tempting fate.
We are going up. There's no doubt about it. Stop it.
Oh, okay. So next season in the Championship, we want to be. I feel so
battling for promotion.
We want to be competing. We want to be competing on a playing field with the teams that are in receipt of parachute payments from the Premier League, and to compete with them, that's going to be very hard. But the stuff that. The stuff that they've done, do you hear that then? I think the mince pies are ready.
I did wonder what that was. I thought I could hear the postal service in the background.
It was the timer in the kitchen.
That was the band, the postal. That was.
No, I don't want everyone's things to start going off as they're listening. I don't want mine to start going
off. Yeah. It was, there you go.
Yeah. But yeah, I can't remember what we were saying.
I'm sorry, I don't know that.
Next season, we want to be competing with the teams that are in receipt of
parachute payments.
Yes. And the way that they're going, I can see it. They've mentioned that Gary Cook spoke about this partner, the commercial partner that they've got, that they had a conversation with, and they were like, "Oh, you're in League One now," and then that got signed off apparently. And so, who do you think that company was?
Durex.
Are they a British company?
I have no idea. Andy Summers.
So, I'm going Vodafone, and I've got no knowledge of this. So if it's right, it's just a really well worked out guess. But he said, Balti Triangle, billion dollar company, he said. And then he corrected himself to £billion company. So, first of all, very few £1 billion companies, I think. And a lot of them are like oil or petrol, insurance. The other reason that I went for Vodafone is that we haven't currently got, I don't believe, a communications partner. So that's a official communications partner of Birmingham City Football Club. They've done sports stuff before, and he said she called up and said she'd got the green light. There's a woman that's in charge of the director of operations of something or other. So I think that it's Vodafone. But
they're going through a merger at the moment, though, aren't they? So would they?
Well, maybe that's why they needed to get extra
I don't know.
green light.
I might be wrong.
I don't know. But that was my guess.
I'm not going to take a guess because it could be fucking anybody.
Greg's, maybe.
So why not?
But yeah, like the fact that we're talking to these massive companies and that we're having these conversations and getting the deals done, we've said before with Delta and things like that, shows that I think next season we can compete. And the pull of these celebrities and whatever else, that will be amplified next season in the Championship. Touch wood. And on that point, the Tom Brady thing that was brought up, what involvement does he have? Is he just a face to have as a selling point?
Well, we know the fitness side of stuff and the stuff that he's gone around and helped do the audit at the training ground and the equipment, and he's obviously got his people in there and hopefully not selling any of those super greens and stuff.
One of the things that they've said is that we've had a 50% reduction in non-contact injuries, was it? Something like that?
Yeah, it's an interesting one, that is, because it still feel like we're having a lot of injuries.
It's just contact ones now.
Yeah.
We're just getting booted. But, I mean, that for me, that probably has... There's probably a split to that, and it could be
the work on the training pitch that they've done
exactly
as
that.
well obviously makes a big difference.
Last season it was cutting up, and they moved pitches, didn't they? And yeah, I think that will have a part in it. But there's no there's a guy who's played NFL at top level into his 40s. I think there's going to be an element of him conditioning.
Just got a slight tangent. Have you noticed the amount of times that Chris Davies talks about pounding the rock as well? Like, he has definitely spent time with Tom Brady talking about fucking pounding the rock. That's got to... he talks about it in like every single interview, pounding the rock.
I'll listen out with that next time.
Yeah, I was like... I mean, obviously, like... in Tom Brady's world, that's just like... running the ball, you know, tiring the defence out. Funnily enough, we want passable, tire the defence out.
Pound the rock.
It's very, very, very similar.
Dave, I think we've found our title.
Pounding the rock.
Pounding the rock.
But obviously, I hear
I'll
people say that.
listen out for it now that you said it.
He says it all the time. But I picked it up a couple of times from him. It's like. So this has got to be a Brady influence. It's got to be a Tom Brady influence. But anyway,
I wonder if in Chris Davis's office, you know, that they've got the Tom Brady quote down the tunnel. I wonder if Chris Davis's office, pound that rock,
and then he's got a Tom Brady Funko figure just sitting on his desk. So was there anything else from the open house that came out? I know there was stuff about the foundation. They're doing a sleep out again. I will be over for that game, but I will not be doing the sleep out because I'm seeing family, because it'll be the last time I see my family in England before Christmas. That's the 14th, isn't it? So
yep.
I think Daniel Ivory has said he's doing it. I've noticed he mentioned it, so I'm sure there'll be quite a lot of other people that do it off the back of that as well. But they're doing a lot more this year, aren't they, compared to what they did last year? And they're going to put on
they said that they were doing
entertainment and going to show. Are they showing the cup final or something?
Yeah, I think that's what
and
they
then
said.
some of the players to come and talk about it. And serve them breakfast and whatnot. So it sounds like it'll be quite a good event for a very very good cause again.
I have done a sleep out at St Andrews for Worthington Cup final tickets, I think it was, and it is like the camaraderie and stuff was great that night, like playing games in the tunnel and whatnot. So
I didn't do a sleep out, but I queued overnight for tickets for Bruges. That was a very, very, very long.
Did you queue for
night.
those? I just got mine over the phone. Did you?
Yeah, you did. Yeah, it really fucking annoyed me that did, because I'd queued all night. I got there at like 10 o'clock at night. I think I left. Yeah, 10 or 11 o'clock the night before, and then left about 9:30 once I got my ticket. I'd have to pretty much stood for the whole thing as well.
That's essentially a sleep out, you know.
I didn't sleep though.
No, but just being there, like you don't sleep. But yeah, well done to everyone who's getting involved in that, and if you can donate some money to the cause, then sponsor someone who's doing it, because it is a very good cause. I think that probably was most of the stuff from the open house, wasn't it?
Big announcement of the Symphony Hall concert.
The Jasper thing.
Yeah.
And the Trevor Francis statue that's going to be... I know that they'd already announced that, but they've said that that's going to be open pre-season next season, is it?
Something like that, yeah.
With a game. I wonder if that'll be Sampdoria.
So they spoke about potentially just... what's the word? Sprucing up the main stand, which again we kind of knew that they would going to do, but obviously they can't do too much to that because they'll unsettle a lot of the groundwork, which they don't want to make angry. So
just make it pretty.
It's going to end up just being a bit of a superficial. And he said facial job. Then that's a completely different thing, isn't it? So I'm sure it will look very, very good though, based on the stuff they've done to the rest of the stadium.
Okay, before we go on to the weekend, Chris, you've got something to show us.
Hey.
You saw him open it. You saw him open the can earlier. Through the magic of someone else cooking.
For those that are watching, of course.
Yeah, this is going to be a terrible audio podcast. But
look at that. Again, not helped if you're not watching it. That's what Chris can make in 1 hour, 20 minutes.
Oh, I didn't make it.
Oh, good job.
Well done, Mrs. Chris.
Mm-hmm.
So, speaking of things that leave a delicious taste in your mouth, on to Shrewsbury. I don't fucking know.
I don't know.
I was going to say
I thought you were shouting to Dion.
I was going to say a bit of That's even worse. I just meant because we were going to win, because we were going to come away with a significant victory. Now Chris is choking on a mince pie.
I'm choking on a Christmas tree. It wasn't you. It was lovely, thank you. It was something that was said. Love you. Yes, on to something different. Composed?
I'm fine.
Shrewsbury or Dion?
We could talk about Dion very quickly. So obviously we touched on his mistake that contributed to Northampton's goal, equaliser. Alan Nixon has this weekend just gone mentioned that he's going to probably be available for loan in January, which you kind of understand. I think from my point of view, it's got to the point now of a lot of fans that things have just become a bit too toxic from a large portion of the fan base. There were some awful things shouted at him like awful things shouted at him at the end of that Northampton game, and some of the stuff I saw online afterwards as well was pretty horrific. Now, he's made his mistakes on and off the pitch. You know, he hasn't been particularly great this season when he's played. You know, there was a time when he did play pretty well for us, and people were singing songs about him. So let's not forget about that. But it's got to a point now where
same with Harley Dean as well. I don't think.
Yeah, you know, it gets to a point, you know, where it just makes sense for players to probably move on. You know, he's been an idiot off the pitch. I do feel a little bit sorry for him on the pitch because, yes, he does have a mistake in him every now and then, but he is a competent defender. He played very well for us for quite a while. He played very well on loan for other teams before he joined us. I think he'll probably get a championship move, but I would have liked to have seen him, you know, turn things around with us. But ultimately, we've got better defenders at the club now. And, you know, it might be a time for him to move on. They obviously wanted to give him a chance because they could have moved him on in the summer, and he stuck around, and it looked like for a little while during pre-season that he was going to stick around. But, you know, I think there's probably a bit of a feeling now that it probably is the best for all parties if he does, even if it's just temporary, just to make a move.
Well, I was just about to say then, was there not I could be imagining this, but was there not an element of that they tried to potentially move him on in the summer, and there weren't any takers?
I don't think so. I know people have said that, but I think there is I think there was interest, and I think they've wanted to keep hold of him. Also, doesn't want to move too far away because he needs somewhere that he can, you know, get cheap public transport, or doesn't have to cycle too far between. I shouldn't make a joke about that, but, you know, if they move him on, fine, bring someone else in. I think there's been a lot of talk about that Newman from Germany. I think that's nonsense, to be honest. I think that was pushed out last summer as, I think that's agent talk, so I don't think it'll be Newman based on little bits that I heard in the summer. I just think that's going to be you're just sitting there chewing your mince pie and I can't concentrate properly, so sorry, I think it might be someone else. And for me, are you
just getting past more and more mince pies off camera because your arm keeps going out?
No, it's the same one. I'm just leaning against the wall.
Oh, I thought you were getting fed a constant supply of...
No.
You've already got Ben Davies there on loan, which we don't know if he's going to be made permanent or not. You'd expect maybe they go for somebody, which we spoke about before, maybe young and develop, but a little bit more developmental centre back as well. Which, you know, Dion is technically still in that bracket, really. But so I think you're probably in the same boat, but it probably does make sense for him to just move away from the club, even if it's temporarily.
Yeah, I think that essentially you go away, you find your feet again a little bit, and there could be a place there when you come back, or you find yourself settling somewhere else and you move on. And there are times where it is better for player and for club to do that. So rather than having it hanging over him at Blues at the moment, certainly at the moment, it probably is for the best.
There's a lot of good feeling about the squad, about the club, about the team at the moment. And whilst we're winning, that remains. But when we drop points...
Yeah, when there's someone to throw under the bus.
Yeah, and, you know, he was partially culpable for that. Mm. Fans are going to jump on that, and I think the reaction to him has been pretty toxic, and it's not nice. So it was just best off for everyone if, you know, that's eradicated. And, you know, the unfortunate thing is that there will be somebody else, because there's always one person, no matter whether they've done something as bad as he did off the pitch or not. There's always some person that they start to point the finger at, and it's just football. It does unfortunately happen, but I mean, we'll find out in a couple of months' time. But I think he probably does get the move, and it'll be interesting to see who we bring in. Which is, again, that'll be another podcast about potential transfer business in January.
Certainly, a loan is low risk for all parties as well, isn't it? So, makes sense. And like you, it wouldn't surprise me if there was a Championship side that was, especially on loan, that would take him. So it wouldn't surprise me.
He's proven himself in the Championship, so that he can play at that level. You know,
but there's when you've got off the field stuff, I don't want to go too deep into it, but when you've got off the field stuff, sometimes a player needs to earn trust somewhere, and there potentially could be an element of that he's got to earn that place somewhere else before they want to shell out for him.
And he probably needs someone. I don't think Chris Davies is the sort of person that's going to look after him as such or give him the TLC that he probably needs as a player.
Somewhere like Blackburn, where he's
potentially, you know, I mean, that would be an obvious one, wouldn't it? I'm guessing, but you know, football isn't always as obvious. I'm sure there'll be someone in the Championship who'll probably take him, get his wages off the book for a bit. Yeah. Anyway,
let's move on. Let's look to Shrewsbury. Before we talk about it, we're going to get the opinion of Dan from Salopcast. I asked so we played Northampton last weekend, or no, the weekend before, was it? We drew 4-4 with the Northampton supporters team. This weekend we're playing the Shrewsbury supporters team at 9, thanks to the fixtures moving. 9:30 kick-off in Shrewsbury, which is a nice early start. I asked the guy that we're playing whether he'd got any contacts with podcasts. He said there's one, the Salopcast. So we've got Dan from the Salopcast for his preview of the game.
Hi folks, how you doing? Well, my name's Dan Huff from the Salopcast and lifelong season ticket holder at the Gay Meadow, now the New Meadow, home of Shrewsbury Town. Right, your questions. My thoughts on Shrewsbury's season so far, pretty straightforward, disastrous. We didn't expect much. We knew it was going to be a tough campaign. We've got very little money. We're not generally a particularly attractive proposition for new players, too far away from the big cities, all that sort of stuff. So we knew we were in for a bit of a tough slog, but we were hoping it would be a little bit better than 24th place out of 24 in the middle of November. I think part of the reason for that is very simple, to be honest, that we brought in a manager in the middle of last season, Paul Hurst, who is a club legend. He took us to the League One player final in 2017-18, and a lot of us were hoping he'd be able to spring a little bit more of the magic dust that he somehow brought with him then. And he did keep us up last year when we were in a pretty average position, not as bad as we are now, but he did keep us up. And we were hopeful that would be a stepping stone to greater things. It wasn't. Paul Hurst clearly had challenges within the dressing room. He had challenges with recruitment, and it's led to what can only be described as a pretty disastrous first 2 or 3 months. And of course, he was relieved of his duties last week, and we've got a new manager in to replace him. Leads me on to question 2, my expectations and hopes for the season. Well, starting now, my hopes are that come the end of April, we're in 20th position. I don't really care if we're in 19th, 18th or 17th, as long as we're 20th or above. It's as simple as that. We're in a relegation dogfight. We've got a lot of work to do. The hope is that our new manager will be able to work on that. Now, my expectations are that we have a chance of doing that. Gareth Ainsworth's come in, very, very successful record at Wycombe. He's over a decade there where they were up in the Championship for a bit, which of course is probably way above what their normal position in the pyramid would be. So we're hopeful that he's got a bit of charisma. He's got a bit of strategy, and he's going to bring a team that can get the best out of our players. The one plus side is I think we've got a squad that has a modicum of ability, but we haven't seen much of it. So for me, we are hopeful that the season starts now, and that of course means on Saturday against you guys. My thoughts on what you need to watch out for. Well, there's a couple of pantomime dames out there you'll be interested in. One of our centre-halves. We've got 2 centre-halves both called Feeney, aren't related. But one of them, Josh Feeney's from Villa. He's a low knee. And he's played a decent level of football. He's played for England at all the age group levels. And he clearly can play. He's been injured a bit, but we're hopeful he's back now. And he needs to play, and he needs to play well with Morgan Feeney at the back to make sure we don't concede too many goals. So keep a lookout for the 2 Feeneys on the team sheet. The other pantomime villain, Tommy O'Reilly, he's a forward. He's a bit of a, dare I say this on a Blues podcast, a bit of a Jack Grealish. So you ain't going to like him. He fancies himself as a footballer. He's got tricks. They've been useless so far, being honest. But now would be, if you were writing the story at least, or if we were writing the story, the Villa he turns up, shows us what he's got against Blues. So keep an eye on him, Tommy O'Reilly. I'm not sure he's going to play, being honest. But we don't really know what Ainsworth's thinking yet because he hasn't picked the team as of yet. So we will see what Saturday brings. Where else? Well, the big problem for us is in the middle of the park. We've not really been able to keep the ball. And I think if we're going to do anything, then we need to find a way of putting our foot on the ball. So people like Carl Winchester and Ross Torojo, I'm not sure who are going to play, but they've all got some sort of credentials but have shown nothing. If they turn up, then we have a chance of doing something. If they don't, then it'll be your day. End of story. My thoughts on where Birmingham are dangerous everywhere. Absolutely everywhere. Your squad is, we've seen you twice this year, very straightforward encounters for Blues. We know what you've got. Everywhere is a challenge for us. And we will treat Birmingham with the highest respect. Fantastic squad, let alone the 11 who turn out on Saturday. So we are well aware of the challenge that faces us, and we've seen it twice already, and we know how good Birmingham are. So we're not even, as a fan at least, I'm not even looking at individual players. The whole side has got danger written all over it. My prediction, well, I think this is actually quite easy. I'm going to say 2 things, but it's either going to be like it should be, and you'll steamroller us, like you have done twice this season already. I've seen once in the Cup and once in the pre-season friendly. And if that happens, then we could easily lose 3 or 4-0 or worse. But football, funny old game, as someone once famously said, new manager, if he's going to get a bounce, then you'd hope it would be in a big profile fixture where players who do have a bit of ability wake up, realise what they've got to do and come to the party, and we win 1-0 on 19% possession. So I think it'll be one or the other. I think it'll actually be an easy day for Blues if they get past the first 20, or we'll have a backs to the wall scrap and get something out of the game. So my prediction is goes one of 2 ways. You can probably guess which way I hope is going to be right. And fingers crossed, we spring a bit of a shock. Cheers, guys. Go well.
You know what? As soon as Ainsworth was announced,
new manager bounce.
No, do you know what there was? There was a message put into the WAB FC chat. Well, that's us losing 1-0 on Saturday then. And it's just like, as soon as it was done, it was like that element of, no, for fuck's sake, sort of pops up. But
do you know the thing as well is obviously
that shouldn't be part of it for us. We shouldn't be thinking like that. We shouldn't.
No, because that's old typical Blues. But he's actually, because obviously they never played last week as well, he's probably had a little bit of time with them as well to try and get his methods across. Now, he played from memory at Wickham and at QPR pretty direct, wasn't he? 4-2-3-1, 4-4-2, pretty direct, just long balls getting crosses into the box, stuff like that. I don't think he'll change too much. Be interesting to see if he's paid attention to, as we've said, some of the other teams that have gone 5 at the back. See if he does play with a low block. They'll see this as again, I'm going to say it's quite a lot of free hit with us as well. If they can get anything from it, then they will do. So it wouldn't surprise me if he goes ultra defensive and we have a problem trying to break them down. So yeah, 1-0 Shrewsbury.
Someone else has said that to me as well. I'm not going to name him. Do you know what? It's one of them games where you just you wouldn't bet against it. No, like I wouldn't bet on it. I don't know. Maybe it's a good idea to put £1 on it with the odds that you might get. But you wouldn't bet against it with how things are going. But I just think now look at the quality that we've got. We've had a break now. I'm I mean, Gary Cook said the other night that Chris Davis was having a rest, well-earned break, wasn't he? But I'd have preferred us to have been working on a few things over the international break.
He was giving them a few days off, and then they were coming back. I think they did it like they did last time, where they just had like 3 days off, and then they came back in.
Okay,
I think that's what they did last time.
But I want us to come back in after this international break with a bang. I want us to go, right, we're taking no prisoners now. If he wasn't, I'm more confident about it with what you said, that he like really wasn't happy, because that makes me think that he's going to want to prove a point. We look back at the Man Uniteds of old with Alex Ferguson in charge. If they lost a game or if they drew a game, you were in shit that next week,
even at half time.
Yeah. But you'd be getting it. You'd be getting the brunt of it the next week. So I want us to be coming back like that. I don't even want to think about what Gareth Ainsworth might do. I can imagine that he's probably going to try and soak it up, get a few counter-attacks on. I imagine that's good, like the blueprint for teams now that are going to play us. I just think we need to come out pure domination and quality and actually make it count. And this has got to be the one where it's like, right, a league game that we absolutely destroy someone. I mean, 4-0 Blues. Williamson. There you go. There's my prediction.
Well, we did that to them in the cup, didn't we?
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I haven't really got much else to add to what you've said. You just want to hopefully find some form of just a bit more fluidity, a bit more connection with the front players, and just create a little bit more. Hopefully, find some form of combination between them that works. Obviously, we've got Williamson, I think, plays tomorrow for Iceland, and they're only away at Wales, I think, tomorrow. So I mean, there's not too much travelling there. South Korea play tomorrow afternoon, I think. So, I mean, based on the last internationals, he put them all straight back in, didn't he? So,
you imagine that it'll go strong.
So yeah, it's all just about what combination he picks from the front players. You make the assumption that Stansfield continues to play because he scored in the last game, and Williamson will probably play as 10. But I think some of the other positions are probably up for grabs. It's up to him what he does right back, because he obviously give Gardner Hickman a bit of a rest and played Laird last game. I think he obviously likes Laird quite a lot, so I think he'll probably stick with him. But
yeah, I think that'll stay. I actually think that Samsted's done really well as well, and he just there's no place there for him. There's 3 of them that are playing.
Well, I think Samsted now, I think he was on the bench in the last game. He gave Gardner Hickman a bit of a breather, but because Samsted can also play, he's shown he can play left back a little bit. He's been
dropping for that.
Yeah. But I think for me, you need Hickman against these sorts of teams, because he's just really, really industrious as well. So he's got that bit of quality, but he just adds loads of energy, whether he plays in the middle or whether he plays on the wing. He's another one I'd potentially like to maybe see higher up the pitch, out wide as well. You know, whilst we've got Hansen and Wright out, why don't we look at potentially trying him up there? He can play up there.
Yeah.
The kid can play in like pretty much everywhere apart from goalkeeper. So it'd be worth giving him a go up there, I think, potentially. But I don't know. I mean, you made me realise I didn't realise the kickoff was 12:30 on Saturday. So I now know it's 12:30. That's quite annoying. But
it's far from ideal, but we're going to get a lot of them moving around this season. Then we'll come on to Exeter as well, actually, because that's a rearranged one. That's Tuesday night, and we're not going to pod before that, are we? So we'll have a little look ahead to that. But come on, let's have some predictions, because last time round, Dave went 2-0. You went 3-0.
Yeah.
I went 4-0. Only me and Dave got a point for saying Stansfield. You went. Can you remember what you said? That's a no then.
I went for someone a little bit left field.
Literally.
And I was going for Anderson.
Yeah. So no points for you.
No points for me. I'm gonna go 2-0. A professional 2-0 performance.
Goal scorer. This makes great audio podcast. This does.
I'll use the Stansfield card.
Okay. Now, Dave, we both went Stansfield last week.
Yep.
Or last pod.
I'm going 3-0. And Williamson.
So, I'm going 4-0 and Williamson. So, we're moving. You two have swapped predictions from the Northampton game. Apart from scorers, obviously. Interesting. Yeah, following that up, then there will be Exeter on Tuesday night, which I am going to. Nice long journey down to Exeter on a Tuesday night, which will be interesting.
Yeah, the Exeter game I'm not really sure what to think of, because they're not doing too badly, and they're quite good at home. I think they might have only been beaten once at home. I'm not sure.
Is that what you were just looking at? How they were doing?
I was trying to flick through, but
okay. Well, while you're going for that, I'm going to go with my prediction, and I'm going to go.
Oh, we're doing predictions.
Oh, I thought you wanted the prediction. I thought.
Oh yeah, why not? Wow.
Should we wait to prediction offline and then put it on somewhere later? So after the Shrewsbury game.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Come on with that.
Yeah.
Come back to it. Oh no, I want to hear what Dave's going to say. He's going to say 1-0 Blues.
We're not going to get it.
Just give us 6 points from these next two games so we can get back on track.
Yeah. There's going to be a lot of these fixtures coming up as well where they come thick and fast because of the cancelled games. It's going to get so congested.
Yeah.
And cup games and whatever else that are in there. Just get the points in the bag and then look forward to the FA Cup. And a trip to Blackpool.
Oh, of course, is that as well,
yeah.
Right.
And then Stockport at home. And then Barnsley away.
God, our next home game seems a long way away, doesn't it?
December 6th?
4th. Yeah. Long way away. Right. Well, have a safe journey to both Shrewsbury and Exeter if you're going to the games. Enjoy some mince pies if you get offered them. Don't be put off by me burning my mouth.
In November.
Yes.
How do we feel about that?
Mince pies in July. I don't care.
Yeah, I don't care. Yeah, I'd eat them whenever.
And one other thing, Chris, we started this episode talking about my hair. Your hair. Are you growing a beard?
I've got a beard.
Are you growing it? Are you growing it?
I thought you were going to say I thought you were going to say I'm losing my hair. I was like, no, it's the stress, mate.
Are you growing your beard? It looks like you are. Keep going.
I mean, it does grow.
But yeah.
Naturally.
It's just maybe you don't cut it. Maybe you don't cut it till we're back in the Championship.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now we've been here before, haven't we?
Right. Anyone going to the games, have a safe journey, and until next time, keep right on.
Keep right on.
Keep right on.